Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Old Forester Birthday Bourbon 2022 edition, Dustin. This time, an 11-year-old. Comes in at 48% ABV. Still comes in this goofy little pot still bottle.
Hey man, people go out of their way for that bottle.
They do.
People love it.
Yeah, this was actually an Ohio lottery win, which is rare for someone that we know. So if someone
I didn't know that was even a winnable thing.
Yeah, neither did I. But actually, our buddy Keith from Malta Man Cave got himself a nice little W with this one. Brought it over a few weeks ago and said, "Here, guys."
God, that is all awkward pour at the bottom.
When it gets down to the nitty gritty, it is, isn't it?
It's awkward.
You know, I always thought of that this was like, you ever watch Pirates of the Caribbean? Little Jack Sparrow rum bottle.
Yeah,
It's got small, squatty ones.
I mean, the squatty bottle is definitely, it has its history throughout, bourbon and probably Scotch history. And it's definitely used in cognacs and other stuff. But
Oh, for sure.
it's always awkward looking when it just shows up and you're like, really?
It stands out, Dustin, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about this birthday bourbon? What's the idea with the birthday bourbon? We've done one before last year's 12-year-olds.
Annual release. Every year it's a little different on the age. They've done a few NASs. They've done some 10s, 12s. They kind of go for a sweeter profile, and I believe this is the first one where I think the old master blender, I think she left before this batch came out, I believe. But we'll see. The whole idea here is it's like a birthday cake. This is those Old Foresters, same, barrels and warehouses that the King of Kentucky comes out of, Mike. Mm-hmm. And as you remember, that's those heat cycled.
Yes.
So this should, in theory, come in impart some additional age than the 11-year statement.
Let's get to it.
Well, they're not joking about the sweetness here.
Yeah, it is. It jumped right off the nose. Caramel sweetness.
I'm getting caramel, but I'm also getting
Icing.
vanilla icing, and a hint of banana.
Yeah, really caramel sugar icing forward.
Yeah, now that I go back in, initially I got more vanilla than caramel. I'm definitely getting the caramel now more. But I'm also starting to pick up the charred oak notes. Definitely can pick up that there's some age on this one. The nose is pretty damn good, Mike.
Yeah, once you get past that initial sweetness, there is kind of a charred oakiness, charred oak note to it that's pretty substantial.
You could even tell me like a chestnut, like the shell, like those really hard ones to break and crack open. Not just walnuts or chestnuts, something like that.
It's kind of going back and forth between sweet and oaky.
Yeah, it's got a pretty hefty oak note there.
The oak note is almost, you could call it cake-like oak note. If you want, want to stretch it.
A weird cake batter, maybe. I would say that the oak note's a little on the unpleasant side, though. This is not the oak that I really want from an ultra-aged bourbon.
Slightly bitter. Slightly bitter, it feels dark chocolate, at least on the nose, but slightly bitter.
Dark chocolate and a little bit of like an unpleasant nut note, which is weird to say because I love nuts. It's almost pretty much... Someone's going to clip that out of here. That'll be a soundbite.
Flambéed that walnut shell did it.
Yeah.
A little bit of spice now. Twinge of spice.
Yeah, I'm even getting a little bit of red fruit now. I'm trying to think here.
Maybe an apple peel, red apple peel.
Yeah, I mean, nothing jumps out distinct, but yeah, you're right. It's too flat for like a berry note. So yeah, apple peel.
Yes, not quite sharp enough. Something like an apple. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always liked the way these things smelled.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say high marks on the nose. They've really aromatically they've delivered. This is definitely on profile for a birthday bourbon. Mm-hmm. As far as the nose goes.
Yeah, I mean, 11 years, especially heat cycled, is a good age statement, especially for a bourbon. And 48% ABV, why I tend to like my bourbons a little higher than ABV, at least at 50 mark. Still good ABV.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
There's something wrong with this. I might have to go in for a second one here, but...
There you go, distinctive.
So let me kind of... Initially, I get a lot of spice, which I wasn't expecting. I get a little more alcohol than I was also expecting. You get the good birthday bourbon sweetness. You definitely get that Brown-Forman classic. I like to think of it as kind of chocolate, root beer, banana kind of thing going on. Root beer is probably a little off note. Maybe Mike will give me a better note. But then the finish just kind of vanishes like it never was here. I mean, I get a little bit of alcohol around like my gums, but I mean, there's no finish to this at all, Mike. Wow. And again, the alcohol was surprisingly noticeable given it's 48%. And I know that we haven't had a lot to. I mean, just we've had one little taste to start the day off, but man, that's interesting.
Yeah, it comes off a little
A little
sting on the palate. Like, the viscosity of it's kind of light actually, but it does come off pretty alcohol forward, which doesn't always go hand in hand together. Then it kind of gets like to a stinging oak. And then as soon as you swallow, like when you said the chocolate notes, like really, you said root beer. When you said root beer, what it kind of reminded me of is those root beer barrel candies.
Yeah.
Something like that. It isn't like as sugary as root beer, and it got really bitter really quick. But then, even though the finish may kind of cut a little bit short, it does kind of go into a vanilla in the finish, which is a lesser flavor than everything else I've been experiencing before. Mm-hmm. So maybe it does feel like from a flavor perspective, the finish kind of drops off a cliff, but it just kind of goes away from that bitter oak and goes into a much milder vanilla.
Yeah, I mean, I almost get like a hint of like a root beer float, but I mean, as you noted, much less sweet. Like, they kept the sugar levels low. And I went in for a second taste there, and I mean, it's birthday bourbon, Mike. It's got all the character that I expect in a birthday bourbon, but
it's a little bitter and chocolate. It's a little bitter and chalky compared to what I would normally think of birthday bourbons. Because we had a few of we've had the last 20, 21, this will be 20.
We reviewed 21, and I know we've had a friend of ours bring over at least one other one that we've had together, and I've had probably at least 3 others over the years.
Point is, we have an understanding of what this whiskey is supposed to be.
And that they've had some off years where I thought it was flat on the flavor. Mm-hmm. This isn't flat except the finish. It's just, it's off. I don't want to say this. I want to make sure I say this the right way, but it comes off unrefined for an 11-year-old bourbon, let alone one that went through the heat sink and that was specially picked for this, annual release.
Yeah, the cask comes off a bit overdone, a bit too bitter, a bit over oaked.
Yeah, but usually when you get over oaked, you don't get that alcohol sting, especially when you proof it down like this.
Like I said before,
that's just such a weird
combination. The viscosity kind of came off thin initially, and then instantly you felt the alcohol. Which again, if the viscosity is thin, you usually don't feel that much alcohol.
Well, and I meant to throw in, I agree fully with Mike. This is thin, even for 48%. In fact, we're big fans of 48% in the Scotch world. We prefer a little higher in the bourbon world, sure. But 48 should be enough.
This feels like 45 Scotch max, 43, 45 as far as the Scotch.
Yeah.
But anyway,
water made the oak come forward.
Yeah.
Not helping it.
Yeah, it really made it, before where I could say, it kind of went back and forth between kind of those bitter oak notes and more of the sweet, caramel, sugared caramel. Ooh. Now, like the oak note is penetrating, you just threw it all over everything.
Straight oak char now on the palate. A lot of spice. I'm actually now getting a Kentucky hug. Wasn't expecting that with water. But the finish still disappears. Like, it gets really spicy and really full flavor in your mouth. And then it just goes away. I mean, wow. This is a weird one, man. I mean, the nose initially without water, beautiful. With water, not so great.
I told Keith to trade this for something better.
I did too. We both told him to either sell it or trade it.
Okay, yeah. So, again, very similar with water on the palate as it was on the nose. The oak note bled into every experience of it. It really kind of took it over. It's almost, it means just an overcoat to the experience now. And usually I like oak. I like aggressive oaky whiskey. This style of oak just isn't for me.
Again, this just to me comes off like just poor blending. That's all I can say is I think they picked the wrong barrels for this.
All right, Dustin. Whiskey score time. Allow me, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead. I've got a number in my head.
Yeah, I'm at 83 out of 100 on this one.
Okay.
I was going forth at 82, 83. I mean, there's some things that I like about it. Initially neat on the nose. It does come off. It does have some positive facets to it. But really on the palate, either way I had it, either neat or with a little bit of water, I really didn't enjoy it. I can sit here and I can describe the flavors and think, oh, okay, well, maybe that's not too bad. Nah, it's worse than you think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. It definitely it's worse than
some of its
notes.
Parts. Yeah, worse than some of its parts. It's like, it's got four tires and a steering wheel.
Yeah, I mean, normally I want to,
But it's a Yugo.
Like, saying it's a short finish is usually, okay, well, it's not going to get into the high scores. So my initial thought was 85, neat. Mm-hmm. And then we added water, and that oak just got so overpowering.
Made it messy.
It made it messy, and so I'm dropping it to 84. I'm not going to go quite as low as you are, but yeah, 84. I would not pay retail for this. I would not pay half of retail for this unless I just wanted the bottle for my shelf.
Look cool. It's a cool looking bottle.
I mean, honestly,
From that
this is $40 bourbon right here. Unfortunately,
It's definitely not impressive.
I mean, this is one that I think would go well if you were mixing, and that's sad because last year's was delicious. I really enjoyed last year's. This is a premium mixer, unfortunately. Wow.
Maybe next time it'll be a little better. I know the previous incarnations of this whiskey I enjoyed more. This is probably my least favorite.
There have been some incredible ones. This isn't it.
This isn't it. All right, those are our thoughts on this particular 2022 birthday bourbon. This time, an 11-year-old, 48% ABV. If you guys had a chance to try this one, let us know what you guys think. Until next time, Dustin, what do we wish the folks?
Happy smelling. Don't drink this.
We'll see you next time.